everybody. Welcome back to Music Talk. I'm Dave,
I'm Mike.
and this week we're going to do a review on the well, it's not new, but came out in 2020, the
Yeah,
Kim CD.
love always wins.
Love always wins. And I like Kim, man. I've been listening to him since about 2010. I actually had a couple of his songs on my wedding tape. So
Yeah.
uh, back in, he had a few hits back in those days. He had Share My Life, and it's a great song. He had If It's Love was a good song that he had out, and You're on My Mind is one of my favorites that he does. So I've been listening to him, and those were like 2010, 2012. But I honestly haven't bought anything from him recently. So he's got a couple out that I haven't really paid much attention to lately. But I saw this, and I'm a Kim fan, so I went ahead and got it. I'll go through this album cover thing real quick. First of all, I will say, I'm not a big guy about putting yourself on an album cover, but when you're one guy, you kind of have to, I suppose. But if you're going to put yourself on there, you do it like this. I mean, that's classy, man. He's got that nice suit. I mean, that's sexy right there, right? I mean,
Yep,
if,
yep.
if I could pull that off, I would put that my picture on every one of my album covers, but I can't pull that off. So anyway, I'm not going to give him anything about the album cover, And then of course the CD is Kim with the nice red, I guess for heart, for love. You got the red thing there, and he's got the little dove flying there. It's hard to see with the light, but you know. And then the back has the song tracks on there, and another cool picture of him, like he's worked out or something. He's maybe praying a little bit. I don't know. Pretty decent CD cover. It's actually all plastic. It's a good cover, man. I mean, you don't get plastic hardly anymore. You get these cardboard ones that are you can't even read the sides of them. And of course, it's got the words and all the liner notes, pictures of him. He's pretty cool, showing off a little bit. You know, he's got that low cut. Look at that, showing that chest in there, wherever that went. You know, my chest would be covered with hair, so you wouldn't be able to see that. But anyway,
Well, they invented this thing called a razor blade.
yeah, right. I know. You would think I use that up here, but
Yeah,
he
well,
could be. I don't know, man. He's a slick dude. I like Kim. He's come around to the Hampton Jazz Festival a few times, so I've always remember him coming here for that. And I like the guy. I think he's got a great voice. You know, he's smooth. Um, the album. Well, I'm gonna ask you because I mean I've listened to Kim for a while. So just what did you think of it first listen before we even go through the tracks or anything? Just how did you feel about it?
well, my first listen, I got through about three songs and I had to stop.
Mhm.
Um, it's it's very what this album reminded me of is something that's very low volume, played in the background while you're having conversation with the one you want to be with.
Yeah.
It's not about listening to the music so much. The one thing that I felt like was going on is more of a living room production, which means that he pretty much probably did everything on the album.
Well,
Uh,
it wasn't necessarily him, but his producer, Derek Allen, who they call DOA, he pretty much did everything as
yeah.
far as like what
Now I
you're
wasn't.
talking about, the drum
I,
tracking and the
right.
synthesizers and stuff. So,
I was impressed with the fact that they had steel guitar on one
yeah.
song.
Actually, yeah, I definitely know it was on the first song. And I
Right.
thought I heard a hint of it again on another one, but it could have just been a slide guitar.
It didn't. Yeah, I think that was more of a slide, but I
Yeah.
don't know. But I
And
was impressed with that. But the one thing that brought me down about it, there, and I'm sorry, I'm just talking from the heart of a drummer. There are a ton of drummers out there that need work
yeah.
and that could have done a much better job than having pre-recorded drum tracks played.
Right. That's the one. Well, I've got more than one thing about it that I didn't like on this album, but the main thing I did not like about it was the programmed drums. Because back in his other hits that I was talking about in 2010, 2012, he had a great drummer. I wish
Right.
I wrote down his name. But the reason that I started listening to Kim was because the band was so tight
Right.
and he could sing. So you had him and the band, and that's why he was doing the jazz festival stuff, because they were a jazz band with jazz vocals.
Mhm.
So I was disappointed in this because the whole album, there's not one drummer on it at all. It's all programmed. So
Yeah.
that one, that kind of, I didn't like that. That definitely brought me down a little bit about it. So
Yeah. Well, I look at it like, again, to me, it just seemed like a living room production, which means that what they did, in my personal opinion, was sit there and they put all the music tracks together and they just really polished the vocal tracks up.
yeah,
And it just reminded me of a demo.
yep. One thing too about that is with this one guy playing all the parts, it's not a lot of differences going on because
No.
everything is kind of the same, you
Yeah.
know. There was another thing that really drove me crazy, when he's playing that sounds like a Fender Rhodes piano or maybe a Mellotron or whatever it is. He had it in stereo like it was going through a Leslie cabinet almost, but
Right.
not. And it was going back and forth like this the whole
Right.
time.
Right.
Every song, it was doing that. And at some point, I was like, can you not do that for one song? Because it starts to get obnoxious hearing that piano vibe go back and forth all the time.
Well, that's that old Fender Rhodes
Yeah, that's what it
thing.
sounds like. It's
That's that,
probably a synthesized version of it.
yeah, that's that old Fender Rhodes thing. And I think he
Yeah.
just exaggerated it by putting it on speakers. So when you're sitting between the speakers, it's bouncing around. Because when
Yeah.
you're actually playing original Fender Rhodes setup, that's the way those speakers were
Yeah.
meant to do. Your keyboard literally straddled that cabinet,
Yeah.
and twin speakers, and each one of those speakers were bouncing back and forth. You know what I mean?
And I totally get that, but on every song, it was getting really obnoxious to me.
Yeah,
I mean, you could
yeah,
have panned it all to one side every now and then, or mixed them both to one side, one channel.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. It was getting old to me. Anyway, the first song we'll go through it real quick. Not Before You. That's the one we talked about. Had a steel guitar, really nice steel too. I was into that song, man. The
Yeah.
strings were nice.
Yep.
I like the simplicity of the acoustic guitar and the vocals. You bring in the steel guitar, some strings, and then of course a little bit of the, it wasn't too overbearing with the program drum stuff in the back, but you have it. And anyway, I actually liked the first song. The
Right.
second song I really liked, Lonely. I think it had a great guitar sound, nice jazz piano solo in it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's got a great vocal hook to it. Um, the one thing that he did a few times on this album is he said chew. And I
I'm
will
a,
tell you, I had a music teacher one time. If we said chew, we got yelled at. So I was listening to this, and quite a few songs he says chew.
yeah.
And I'm
Well,
sitting here thinking, man, if my old music teacher, Harriet Heath was her name, all you guys that went to Manor or ladies that went to Manor and had her, she would jump on you for saying chew.
uh,
So,
I had two trains of thoughts on it. The first one, I got my wife laughing real hard. I said, okay, he's going to chew some red man, tobacco.
because it was very
but,
prominent. I
but
mean,
yeah. And, but the other thing is too, now, you think back to the, Blinded by the Light song, what was it, Spencer Davis, or
Manfred
whoever was it?
Mann,
Yeah,
Manfred
Manfred.
Mann. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why that wound up sounding like revved up like a douche instead of deuce
Yeah.
is because of the effects they put on the vocals.
Yeah.
So he could have been just saying, and I'm sure a lot of the jargon was, in dealing with his culture, and without you,
Yeah.
you know,
And I
I'm
mean,
sure he was probably saying you, but running the T right on top of saying you,
yeah,
and with the effects, it really enhanced that. And it
could
again,
be.
I
It
looked
did
at
it
it
quite
like,
often. So,
yeah, I looked at it like, okay, break out the red man chew, you know.
and I mean, I get it. It was just the one thing about that song that I didn't like. I wish he wouldn't have been so prominent on it. I get
Right.
it if you do it every now and then, but he's got such a great voice, and he does everything so well. You know, his diphthongs and all of his pronunciations are always good.
Yep.
So I don't know why he harped on Chew. He did it on that one, and also the third song, the next
Right. Right.
one, with you in my life, and
With you.
with Chew. He did Chew twice. You know, with you in my life, and so back to back, it got kind of. It was like, man, I wish you wouldn't have did that. The song was those two songs. I would have really liked them a lot if it didn't have so much Chew in it.
Yeah.
But you know, with that being said, still liked them 2 and 3. Actually, the first 3 songs, first 4 songs, I really liked, and then you know, like number 4 is Love, and that reminded me of Curtis Mayfield. He had that Curtis Mayfield voice going on. It kind of sounded like a Marvin Gaye rhythm with Curtis Mayfield singing.
Well, there was a lot of Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, and Al Green influence
Yeah,
in this stuff, and I got to give him props on that.
yeah,
And thank you for keeping the old school alive.
yeah,
For that.
right.
Uh,
And the bass in that song, it was so good. The guitar solo, great tone on number 4, Love. I mean that any one of those 4 songs, I'm surprised they're not on the radio more often. I mean, we should be hearing these. I mean,
well,
this is what I want to hear when I listen to R&B radio.
again, every time I turn on the radio around here, it's either classic rock
Yeah,
or it's this. They claim it's country music, but it's
yeah,
not.
yeah. So
It's
maybe
not.
some of y'all that are listening to this might let us know if you're hearing any of these songs on the radio, because I never heard any of these on the radio, and I wouldn't even known he had a new album out if I wasn't listening to the stuff from 2010 and it just happened to come up. So you know maybe I'm a little out of loop on some of this stuff too. I mean, I haven't really been listening to radio at all, honestly, lately,
Yeah.
because really I don't like anything that comes on the radio. I think
I
they
don't.
play the same crap over and over.
Yep, they do. They do.
So anyway, we get to number 5. It's Praise, and I love that run that he does. Where he says, "Do you want to feel my love?" I love that little scale he's using in there. I thought that was awesome.
Yep.
This was very prominent with the panning of the Fender Rhodes on this song, and it was driving me nuts because I'm like, come on, man, enough of that, right? So, but
Well,
that was
well,
just the beginning of it because it ends up being in just about every song. But
well,
anyway,
I
that was
start
just
putting.
personally for me.
Yeah, I start putting myself though in the shoes of people that are probably really listening to this stuff, and I'll guarantee you they've got decked out sound systems in their car,
Yeah.
and that's what they're going for. And
Well,
it's like we were talking about earlier prior to us coming on. I think it was the number one song
mhm,
that when it kicked on and and through my studio system here, um, the low end. I don't know. There was something about the low end. It was basically pretty much rattling the windows
yeah,
in the apartment. And I didn't have the sound system up. So I know it's being targeted towards
yeah,
certain situations, and which is good. I mean, yeah, he knows his target market. He's looking at the audience he's
yeah,
going for on this. I mean, him or the producer.
right.
Um, I got to give him props. Like I say, he's keeping the old school
Hmm.
uh, 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 soul ballads alive. Through his inflections of the different people that I've mentioned.
Right.
Uh, I I I don't find myself really listening to this a lot. Now, if I was to walk into a piano bar or something and it was playing in the background, yeah, it would be pretty cool at a
Yeah.
very low volume.
This is definitely an album that you want to turn the lights down, put the candles on, get you some wine, sit with your favorite partner, and just indulge in some sexy time is what it is. I mean, that's what it is. It's a
Yep.
sexy album.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so we'll go to number 6 is Lie to Me, which Anthony Hamilton was a co-writer on this. And I don't know if you know Anthony Hamilton, but my wife loves Anthony Hamilton. He's another soul R&B singer, which I've been listening to for 10 or so years. He's great, great singer. But another guy on here that helped write this is James Poyser, and he's the keyboard player on The Roots
Okay.
from Jimmy
Yeah.
Fallon,
Jimmy Fallon's
or
band.
Questlove, and all them guys. So he was one of the co-writers on this one as well.
Right.
And
I love that band, by the way. I mean, I saw them
yeah, they
doing
can do anything.
that last year. I think it was a year ago, right after COVID set in,
Mhm.
and they did the Grammys or something. And man, I forget the name of the song now. All I know is I was knocked out with it. I was like, my
Oh,
God.
Questlove's a good drummer too, man. I mean, that guy, he's tight. So
Yeah. Well, he doesn't overplay either.
right.
I love that fact. He's always in the pocket.
So this song here, Lie to Me, I liked it. I liked the way he did. He does these echoes, right? Where he sings a line and
Right.
then it echoes. But then the third time he sings it again and he changes it, which I really like because you're expecting it to echo, but he was changing it up by singing with it. And I thought that was super cool.
Mhm.
The one thing about this song that bothered me is he kept saying, "I'm ready to wife you." And I thought the first time it sounded like he said, "I'm ready to wipe you." And I'm like, what is he? Did he? And I rewound it. And I'm like, no, he's not saying ready to wipe you. He says, "I'm ready to wife you." And then later on, he says, "I want to make you my wife." And then it makes more sense. But it totally sounded like he said, "I'm ready to wipe you."
Well, it's that newer lingo that goes around. It's just like I heard in one of his songs too about woke. Like, okay, well, that's past tense of waking up,
Mhm.
but for some reason people use it as a present tense now.
Yeah.
What are you woke? It's like,
It's like, it's a verb, I guess. I don't know.
no,
Uh,
I'm
so
not there.
7 and 8, I'll talk about those in a minute, but we get to number 9, and it's called "Friend Today." That's an acoustic vocal thing. It's got the message, of the times, probably where you heard "Woke," which is okay song. It's a good song. Actually,
Yeah.
it's a really good song. I like it that it's simple again with acoustic and just vocal. And then the 10th song is called "Can't Stop Giving Love," which is stuck in my head the whole time. I mean, that song's been in my head since I've heard it, and it reminds me of a Donna Summer song. It's real disco-y.
Yep.
So I kept hearing Donna Summer's um, "Bad Girls" or something to that effect, and
Yeah.
it just reminded me of a Donna Summer disco song, which is fine. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It had a great bass line in it. But then I'll go back to 7 and 8. And the reason why I went back to 7 and 8 is because 7 and 8, and on the bonus CD, which I have, you have 11 and 12, which are the same songs. So 7 is "Live Out Your Love," but it's him singing by himself. And number 11 is "Live Out Your Love" featuring Tony Braxton. So it's the exact
Right.
same song, and then of course 8 was called "Love Always Wins" when he did it by himself. And then number 11 is, or 12 is "Love Always Wins" with Erica Campbell. Now, I have a problem with it a little bit because I'd rather you just give me one. Either give me the one where you sing with the women, or the one that you did on your own. I don't want to hear the same song twice. I mean, I'd rather you write another song than
Well,
do the
yeah.
same song twice.
I see that.
Because I was listening to it and I'm like, man, I swear this song sounds just like another song on this album. And then the words came on and it's like, it is the same song. And then I heard the vocals in it. Like, oh, okay. It's a duet
maybe
with Tony
maybe he's
Braxton.
looking at a live performance thing. Number one, he's not going to always have female with him, so he may as well do a version without.
I'm almost wondering if
Or
maybe he
maybe,
had it all recorded and then they came in later and he was like, hey, you want to sing on one of my songs,
well, that could be too,
Because I don't think it was on the original album.
Right.
It may be. I don't know. You guys can let us know if it was, because I have the bonus one, so I don't know what the original cut was.
Well, Kim's all new to me. I mean, I don't dabble in a lot of the
Yeah.
the new R&B stuff
That's
now.
why I pulled this bad boy out. I said, we're going to get you into some field that you ain't very comfortable in. Not that you're not comfortable in it. It's just
Yeah.
something you're not listening to every day.
No, I mean, I'm just not listening. If I'm gonna listen to R&B, I'm gonna pull up some Marvin, or I'm gonna pull up
Right.
some Al Green, or even JB.
I tell you, man,
Can't
if
go
you
wrong with James Brown.
exactly, yeah. And I think if you went back into some of his other stuff where he actually had a real band, you'd
Yeah.
probably like a lot of that stuff.
Oh,
Go
I'm
check out,
sure.
go check out, If It's Love or Share My Life, You're on My Mind, those three songs. I mean, those are great songs. I love them. I play them all the time. I really love them songs.
I'll tell
But
you
anyway,
what. Yeah.
real quick, we'll go through these. Love Always Wins, title track. He's got Erica Campbell on it, and the two songs I actually thought sounded better with him singing it by himself. Honestly, for me, and Love Always Wins kind of reminded me of a Teddy Pendergrass song. I heard a lot of Teddy in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then
I can see that.
Live Out Your Love with Tony Braxton, who's a great singer. Um, it's just after hearing him do it, and then she came in and did it, I just felt like it was better on his own. But there
Yeah.
was a part where he does that, oh yeah, 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 oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And she came in and did it with him, and she added that extra harmony, which I really liked.
Yeah.
So there were parts on both that I liked. I just would have
Yeah.
rather just had one.
Yeah.
If he left the two off that he sang by himself and I only had the ones with the girls, I would have liked it better.
Yeah.
Knowing
My
that he
first.
had the two on there with him and then the two with the girls, it made it weird to me.
Right.
So,
My first exposure to Tony Braxton was she came to Ocean City, Maryland, when I was living and working there, and worked the club that I used to work. She wasn't famous yet, and
yeah.
we happened to go in and catch her last set after work, and she was knockout.
Yeah,
I think she came down with some health problems
she did.
here in the past 10 years or so, and
She did. Yeah.
kind of pulled her out of the mix. But she
Right.
was a killer
She
singer
was
when I
she was
first.
on fire when she had that Unbreak My Heart song.
Yes.
She was all over the boards, man.
Yep.
I
Yep.
love that song. That
Oh yeah.
Unbreak My Heart. Oh my gosh, man.
She had a killer band with her there in Ocean City, Maryland, too. And matter of fact, I think she's from Maryland, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
very
From the,
possible.
yeah,
Very possible.
well, from the mid-Atlantic coast, anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, I like this album. I'm still a Kim fan. I definitely wish he would have had a real band on it. There's a couple things that I had issues with, like the constant left and right panning of the Fender Rhodes and no drums. I really was
Yeah.
disappointed that there was no drums. I thought the stuff that had the real bass player on it, I really liked it because the bass player is good. His name's Al Turner, good bass player, real good bass player. So I was happy to hear that. I like the steel guitar. I think that was nice. I think my favorite parts of this CD are when it was just him doing stuff with just either piano or acoustic, because all the electronic stuff coming in behind him, I think, took away from his voice. I mean, I love his voice, and I could sit and listen to him on the piano all day long. So
Yep.
anyway, I'm going to give this album about a 7.8.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay.
it's close to an 8 to me. I had a few issues with it. It is a sexy time album. If you really want to just sit down and set the mood and get right, get you some wine, get your woman, some candles, throw this thing on in the background. It's going to be a great night.
Mhm.
There's no doubt about it. This night will happen for you.
Well, to hell with the wine, get the brandy. You know. Come
Whatever
on.
your favorite drink is,
No,
whatever you want to
what I,
drink when you do sexy time, put this record on and you will have a great sexy time.
what I got to say is I didn't dig in. Like I said, I didn't dig into this album a whole lot.
Mhm.
I do realize though that it was released during the pandemic,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking a lot of what we're hearing is the result of the limitations of what the pandemic presented.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say this again: I'm going to give him and his producer a lot of props for keeping the old soul sound alive.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, I just come on, guys. if you're going to use loop drum tracks, let's update those sounds. We've been hearing these same sounds
Yeah,
since the late 80s and early 90s.
true.
And that real high end, that's got to go. I know my tweeters work. I don't need something to test my tweeters.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean, it has been played thousands of times,
And
same beats.
it's the same thing
Mhm.
over and over. Come on, update it or hire a live drummer.
Right.
There's a lot of us out there that need to make a living.
Yeah.
Now, I'm for sale.
Yeah.
You need a drummer.
Cheap.
Exactly. And I can do it right here in my living room.
And look, man, y'all got the same haircut. For real.
There you go.
Yeah.
And believe me, after a couple months in the sun, I'll fit right in.
But look, I'm telling you, yeah, it don't take much for me either. I'll be dark too. We have that Indian blood in us, so
Yep.
it don't take much to turn. But what I will say is I like the album a lot. I don't think you'd be disappointed if you're looking for this kind of album. It's a good one. Kim's a very, very good singer. Always has been. I think he's a quality musician. He knows how to sing. He sings well.
Yep.
You won't be disappointed if you're out to get an album like this. It's a great one.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw a 7.5 at it.
I felt bad about it when I heard it because I was like, there's no real drums and Mike's not gonna have any drums to listen to on this. Not that that's all we listened to. I mean, we listened to the whole thing, the production, and the production was good. But
yeah, it was.
I think the guitar player had some really good tones too. The steel guitar was really a surprise. That was the first song I heard before I bought the CD was that, and I'm like, wow, I got to buy this. So anyway, I gave it a 7.8. Mike gives it a 7.5.
Mhm.
It's sexy time. Put it on, enjoy.
They should have passed this on to Sugarfoot and let him put some drum tracks down. But man, like I say, I mean, we're talking about the pandemic.
I think you're right. I think it probably was a point of they're in the pandemic. It's hard to get people together because of the COVID stuff. So they just probably put all this stuff together. And maybe at one time they thought about bringing other people in, but they were like, you know what? Just put it out. We need some love in the world right now. This whole album is about love. There's nothing on it that's not about love.
Mhm.
Love always wins. And that's what he tells you. Love always wins. And we need love every day. So go out and get it. Look at that. Sexy Kim right there. Love always wins. I'm telling you, you'll have a good night. Put that on. Favorite drink, candles. Sexy time.
That's right.
All right. Until next time, y'all. Leave us a comment, by the way. Let us know what y'all think of this. It's a little different than some of our other reviews. This one's a little bit, not what y'all are expecting to hear from us.
Out of our wheelhouse a little bit, but
a little bit.
Any suggestions though, please bring them forward, and we'll tackle anything and give you our honest
teeth on this stuff, though, man. I will say I grew up with all that Al Green and Teddy Pendergrass. I've got them all in my collection, so I love this style of music.
Oh yeah.
I just was disappointed that it was so digitally done and not enough real musicians on it. So, but yeah, like Mike said, leave us a comment, suggestions, whatever. Subscribe, hit like, dislike, whatever you prefer. Let us know what you think of this or any other CD or us.
Just kick us to the curb if you don't like it.
And that's true too. We had a lot of people that don't like some of our reviews, and that's fine. I don't care. What I do want you to do is when you put this CD on for your sexy time, I want you to come back on here and leave in a comment about how well your sexy time went, because the CD brought it up a notch. So
that's right.
So anyway, we're gonna wrap it up here, and until next time, y'all stay safe out there.
That's right. Peace and love and rock and roll. Listen to the music. See y'all later.